What do you do if the world doesn't make any sense? If the world seems unfair, cruel, unjust, and plain out to get you. Many of us have felt this way at one time or the other. The world, it looks like the world is out to get us. Like something out there hates us. Nothing is going right. We feel like shit all the time. Every action we take leads to worse results. And sometimes you feel, what the hell is the use of anything? If I just lie down and die right now, who will care? Nothing will happen. And then after feeling low for some time, we try to cheer ourselves up by saying things like, oh, grow up, stop moaning like a little baby. Or by watching television, especially comedy channels, or listening to funny radio shows or our favorite music, pop music. Britney Spears, everyone. Or just reading a book or a magazine. But usually most people prefer to do brainless stuff, like watching some stupid TV show or listening to cheesy pop music that requires no brain, or reading one of these gossip magazines, because again, it requires no brain. It feels like after all that negative thinking, our mind has become tired and just wants to take a break. The keyword here is thinking, not negative thinking, but just thinking. You cannot defeat negative thinking by positive thinking. I know the theory is all very well. Oh, think positive thoughts. It'll change the world around you, blah, blah, blah. But anyone who has gone through a shit mode knows that once you're stuck in a spiral of shit, a downward spiral where no matter what you do, you just want to lie down and die. And even the love of our close ones can't help us. And sometimes in anger, you lash out at people trying to help you. When you're feeling that low, and someone comes up with a fake positive message, oh, accept it, this is life. You just want to slap them in the face, don't you? So what do you do when you're feeling that bad, that low, like nothing makes sense and you just want to die? The first thing to realize it, that there are two parts to every bad situation. First is the situation itself. You're losing your job, or you're not getting the promotion you want, or you've been stuck in the same shitty job with no way out for years, or you are having relationship problems, wherever. The first thing is the actual situation, and then this is the critical thing. The second thing is our thoughts about the problem. Usually we will find that most problems aren't that bad. It is our thinking that makes them so. And this can be proved by a simple example. Well, many examples, I'm sure some of you know people like this, the ones I'm going to tell you about. You must have all heard about people who are told that they've got cancer or something else horrendous, and they've got a few months at most to live. At this stage, some people become depressed, but equally other people become cheerful in a very unlogical way. They feel relaxed, they feel cheerful, like a big weight has been taken over their shoulder. I was reading a case like this in one of these chatty magazines recently about some rock star. When he was told that he had cancer, instead of feeling fearful, felt irrationally exuberant for some reason. He felt really happy. There's another case described by Adyashanti in one of his books, can't remember which one, in which a woman was about to die. She had a few weeks, maybe a few months left to live. And one day she just woke up and started cleaning around the house, walking around. And when people asked her what she was doing, she said, "I can't die yet. I don't know who I am." This is a very beautiful story. She realized that she was not this body, that she was something bigger than this body. And she realized that she couldn't die until she knew who she was. This is an extreme case. Most people do not become enlightened when they are close to death. But many people do surrender and accept life. Now, death is one of the worst things. Well, it is one of the things that the ego fears the most. Death. And even in the face of death, humans can remain cheerful, which shows that it is not events after events that make life miserable for us, but the way we react to them. The Stoics, an ancient philosophy founded in ancient Greece, were the first to talk about this at length. They said we should only worry about things that are in our control. And they didn't just talk about it, or like modern philosophers write papers about it and then go home and watch a soap opera. No, these ancient Greeks actually lived the life they talked about. One of the famous Stoic philosophers, I forgot his name now, I think Seneca, was exiled by Emperor Nero, stripped of his post and forced to live on a small island. And yet he remained cheerful. He continued teaching the core of his teaching, which was, it's not the outer world that makes us happy or sad, but how we react to it. The only freedom we have is choosing how to react to external situations. The Stoics said that we should only worry about things that are in our control. And if you look at it carefully, there isn't a lot in our control, is it? The job we have, that is controlled by our boss, the economy, the global economy, not just our local economy, the share prices, stocks and treasury bonds, the interest rates set by somebody hundreds of miles away. It's the same with our relationships. We can love someone dearly, but they might not love us back, or they might leave us, and leave maybe by dying. So we cannot really control the outer world in any way. We can influence it, certainly, but we can't control it fully, 100%. The only thing we can control with 100% certainty is our own thoughts. Actually, for most people, they can't even do that. This is where Stoics were slightly wrong. The Stoics said we can control our thoughts and opinions. That is the only thing we have 100% control over. And so instead of worrying about the outer world, we should worry about our thoughts and our opinions. Why the Stoics were wrong about this, I'll explain in a moment. But the fact is that some things like our opinions, they are 100% in our control. Like Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor, and he wrote a beautiful book called Man's Search for Meaning. And while he was a prisoner held in a concentration camp in horrifying situations where other Jewish prisoners next to him starved to death or died from overwork or just abuse. Even in that situation, Victor did not lose his bearing. The important thing is that this is not about positive thinking. Another great book by this Vietnam War survivor who was held a prisoner, I forgot his name again. He was a very famous person. He was a prisoner of war in Vietnam for 8 or 9 years. And he was one of the only few who survived. And he said the first to die were those who had positive thinking. Because of their positive thinking, they thought that they would be free by Christmas and that everything would be happy and everything would be okay. And when that did not happen, their hearts broke and they slowly died. The way to survive bad situations is not through positive thinking. Positive thinking has its place, but it has become a religion in itself. It's a way of covering up your wound with a band-aid. If you have a small wound, it might work. But what people are trying to do is the equivalent of them being shot in the stomach and they're bleeding to death. And they're trying to cover that wound with a band-aid of positive thinking. Just won't work. Anyway, this prisoner of war in Vietnam, he survived the same way Viktor Frankl did in the Nazi concentration camps. By accepting that the only thing in his control were his thoughts and his opinions. Like Viktor Frankl said, they can take away everything from you, your clothes, your wealth, but they can't take away your dignity. Our opinions are our own, and they are the only thing we are in full control of. I just remember the name of the American pilot, James B. Stockdale. He was the one. He wrote a book about his experiences as well. And he was also inspired by the Stoic philosophers, which is why he could keep his peace of mind, even though he was held for what looked like an indefinite period of time to him. because he was never told when he would be released, if at all. Now, as I said, the ancient Stoics said that the only thing we are in 100% control of is our own thoughts. This isn't perfectly true, because now we know from neuroscience that chemical imbalances can also cause harmful thoughts or uncontrolled thoughts. But also from meditation, like Buddhist and yoga meditation, we know that we are not in full control of our minds. Then rather than using the mind uses us. If you've ever tried to sit down for 5 minutes and meditate, you'll know what I mean. Your mind just won't shut up for 2 seconds. You'll blah 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 blah. And when you try to sit quietly, it becomes even more active. It's not the mind's fault. You've never actually tried to control it. It's like an out of control child who has been given the freedom to do whatever he or she wants, and now is reacting violently when you try to control it. But in some way the Stoics were right. As long as you don't have any chemical problems in the brain, which can be treated with medicine easily. And I'm not qualified to tell you about that, but you've got Alzheimer's or all these diseases you hear about with the brain. If you have them. And like I said, medicine can treat most of these chemical problems using medicine. And I'm talking about real problems, not psychologically, oh, my daddy didn't love me. I mean, if you were seriously abused, that's a different thing, and you should get therapy for that. And I do mean it, you seriously should get therapy for that, because all that negative energy in your system just won't go just because you want to sit down and meditate. In fact, I recommend that everybody goes through some sort of psychotherapy, because most of us, even those of us who came from happy families, we do have unresolved issues from childhood or young adult age, or even from our adult age. And these negative and all these issues are a form of energy that clog our mind and won't let us sit calmly. Especially if you had a tough childhood. And I don't mean it in the way many new agers mean it. Oh, my dad didn't love me, my parents didn't respect me. I mean serious abuse. Then meditation will not be able to help you. Well, it will help you, but not as much as it could, because you're carrying this big load of negative energy with you all the time. So get therapy. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I know there's a stigma against psychotherapy. You will be surprised to know that modern psychotherapy is not like what most people think it is. You don't sit on a couch and tell the therapist how much your daddy didn't love you. Although there might be therapists like that. You're better off avoiding them and doing some research. So yeah, if you had a tough childhood, then by all means first get therapy. Get that negative energy out of your system. Because this path, the path of meditation, is hard by itself without also having to carry tons of negative shit from younger age. So coming back to our original problem, when we feel like shit and nothing is happening. The question to ask yourself is, are you really in such a bad situation, or is your thinking making it so? And be very brutally honest with yourself. Say you lost your job. That's a bad situation. But so what? You'll find another one. Say you lost your job and you've got no money in the bank account. And your rent is due tomorrow. Your landlord will kick you out. Is that a bad situation? Yes, it will be. It is a bad situation. But again, at this very moment, today, right now, this very second, you have a house. You probably have some food. Are you in a problem right now? Because the mind has a problem of what I call mental masturbating. It takes a small thread and just rubs on it until that thread becomes big and big. It'll take something small and make it huge. Say you lost your job, you've got no money, and you're about to become homeless. Is that a bad situation? Not really. Could you have friends or relatives you could stay with? Could keep you for a few days until you find a job? Say you've got nobody to take care of you. You're an orphan and you have no friends. And you become homeless. Is that a bad situation? No. Because you might still survive on the streets. Many people do. Many people come back. And they come back stronger. You see, no situation is really horrible when you come to it. Unless you're hanging off a cliff and there are sharks below you and a tiger on top of you and somebody's put a bomb around your stomach about to go off in 10 seconds. In which case it might be better just to jump and kill the sharks. In most problems that we have, there is an actual problem. And I've said before that every time there's a problem, our being, our own spirit, also creates a solution for that. But because our mind won't shut up, our mind is always talking blah 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 blah, we cannot listen to the inner self. The inner self is very quiet. It's very silent. And most people cannot hear it. And so they go with the mind. And the mind keeps exaggerating everything. Makes everything worse. And it does so because that's its job. The ego, which is a part of the mind that identifies with this body, can only survive if there is conflict. Like in a movie. A movie starts, everything is fine, the hero gets a girl, there's no bad guy. The movie will end in 10 seconds. You need some sort of conflict for the movie to last 2 or 3 hours. Or in the case of Lord of the Rings, several dozen movies. It's the same with the ego. It needs conflict to survive. And if it cannot find conflict, it'll make one. And that's why ego is never happy. You lose your job, you're not happy. You find your job, you're still not happy because you're not earning as much as you want. You get a pay rise, you're still not happy because you actually wanted a bigger pay rise and a bigger promotion. You get that promotion and that pay rise, and now you're still not happy because you have to work weekends. You're a manager now. And if anything goes wrong, you're responsible. You have to fly to other countries on a short notice, work on the weekends and evening, cut your holidays short because some idiot forgot to file a tax report. And since you're the manager, it's your name on the legal papers. You're never happy. When you're working, you're not happy. You're thinking, damn, I want to retire, damn, I want to retire. When you retire, you're bored and you've got nothing to do. And many people come back to work. Or in a very common statistic, a sad statistic, many people die soon after retirement because they don't know what to do. Their whole life they planned, one day I'm going to retire, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do gardening, I'm going to take up a hobby, I'm going to help the poor. But when they actually retire, They sit their asses in front of the TV and watch it for 10 hours straight and then die from one of the many diseases you get from just sitting on your ass 8 hours a day in front of the TV. Or they just have something like a heart attack. They cannot just deal with the boredom of sitting alone. So the ego is never happy. That's the point I'm trying to make. You think that it's the external situation that's making you unhappy. Oh, if only I had a better job and a better girlfriend. One with bigger you know what and everything. I would be happy. But actually no, you wouldn't. If you had a better job and a glamorous girlfriend or a glamorous boyfriend, you would still be unhappy. Because the glamorous girlfriend or boyfriend would spend all your money always trying to look beautiful. And you would be also under a lot of pressure to look beautiful yourself and keep up appearances for which you need to work harder and harder to earn more and more money, which you never get to spend or enjoy on yourself. Whatever happens in the outer world, you will be unhappy, trust me on that. You will feel like shit. You will feel bad. You will feel like you want to kill yourself. That is how the outer world works. That's what happens when you try to find your meaning or your happiness in the outer world. Because there is no meaning in the outer world. Even if you go for a walk in the park and you see you're surrounded by beautiful trees and the grass and flowers, the only reason those things have meaning is because you give them meaning. There is something inside of you that loves nature and feels happy when you're in nature. Ultimately, the secret of happiness is inside of us. And I know many people, when they try to sit to meditate, they feel confused or they feel angry. I used to feel really angry every time I sat down to meditate, because all the suppressed anger that had been suppressed for who knows how long would all come up and try to take over the mind. There was something inside me fighting the meditation, and unfortunately for a long time I let that part win. There are ways to work around this, and I'll talk about them in a later audio. How to meditate in spite of all the shit happening in your life. And the fact is, you will have to deal with this shit one day or the other. This shit inside of you. And trust me, it's all inside you. You look to the outer world, and no matter how much you blame the outer world, your parents, your children or whatever, your boss, the economy, the government, the corporations, Bilbo, Gollum, Sauron, no matter who you blame, ultimately the problem is inside of you. It's the way you view the world that is the problem. It's the way your mind is continuously thinking, chatter, that's the problem. It's not the situation outside that's the problem. Because the situation will go away. All things come to an end, good or bad. The outer situation will change, and you will still feel like shit. Ask this of many big rock stars, movie stars, who commit suicide. They've been living in big $1 million houses, partying every night, getting blowjobs every other day, and still they go ahead and kill themselves. If getting regular blowjobs is not enough to make you happy, trust me, nothing is. Nothing in the outer world can make you happy. And that's the reason you feel like shit, because you're trying to find your happiness in a world, in an outer world where there is no happiness, there is no meaning, there is no joy in the outer world. That's why you feel like shit all the time. Because you realize at a subconscious level that everything around you is empty. It lacks meaning. It lacks joy. How do we get around this? I know answer is meditation, but that's not a real answer, is it? Everybody, and that includes me for a long time, many years. I'm talking about 8 or 10 years. Sit down to meditate, sit for 5 minutes, get bored, and start fantasizing about stuff, about being Darth Vader and beating up Luke Skywalker or something. I used to sit for an hour and I used to fantasize about being a superhero and beating up people and being flying in the air. That was my meditation for a long time, sitting there. And I used to force myself, I'm gonna sit down until I achieve enlightenment. God damn it. Never achieved enlightenment. And never could meditate properly either. But the fact is, those 8 or 10 years, even though I couldn't, they were very depressing years. They were necessary for my growth. And there were things I could have done better. Or differently. Not better, differently. But even those 5 minutes of meditation that I did do, I used to sit an hour, maybe 10 seconds or 5 seconds of that was real meditation. Even that added up. And trust me, it helps. Single deep breath, single conscious breath taken in a whole day is better than an hour of sitting, fantasizing about becoming Darth Vader. I'll talk about this later in the next session. But this is the takeaway I want you to take. I want you to take away. The reason you feel shit and sad and depressed all the time, like I said, is because you're looking for meaning in something that is not there. And even if you're not a very materialistic person, you're not running after money. Say you're a normal person, you have a happy job, you meditate now and then. Even then, you still have this subconscious thought system that says that I need a good job, I need a good wife or a good husband, or I need a big car. It is there in your subconsciously. You can't just talk away out of it. You can't just say, oh, I'm so enlightened because I go to a Buddhist meditation center every weekend. No, it don't work that way. You can pretend to be as spiritual as you want, but your subconscious knows. And until the light reaches deep inside, it doesn't work. But you need to keep trying. You need to accept that the path to joy, to happiness is inside of you. I know it's a cliche. But it's true. You can find happiness by looking within. But like Conan the Barbarian said, that is a story for another day. For now, let's just take a deep breath and out, and in and out, and in. Hold it and out. That's how close happiness is to us. That's how close the being or spirit is to us. Just a breath away. I know it's hard. I know it's depressing. Been there, done that shit. Got the t-shirt. But stick with it. There's a light at the end of this tunnel. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you in the next session. Goodbye. Thank you for listening If you want a free course on how to contact your inner teacher, your own spiritual guide, the part of the divine who lives inside of you and is guiding your spiritual progress, then please go to my website, thepathtojoy.org. That is thepathtojoy.org. Thank you.